By the time the hidden orders of Mu and had begun their work, Tara was already moving toward crisis. According to this transmission, the danger did not come from nature alone. It came from ambition, rebellion, and the reckless misuse of planetary power. What had once been a guarded system of stewardship was being turned into a struggle for control over the very forces that held a world together. At the center of the conflict stood the Templar Solar Initiates, the ruling elite of Alania. They had been entrusted with planetary guardianship, but in this account they pushed beyond that role, going deeper into core energy extraction and deeper into manipulation of Tara's internal power systems. The problem was not just political corruption, it was structural. They were interfering with the grid architecture said to sustain the planet across dimensions. Then the crisis expanded beyond Tara itself. Factions within the Templars aligned with Syrian forces opposed to the established Syrian Council. What began as internal disagreement evolved into open rebellion. Now Tara was no longer just a world in conflict. It had become a stage for a much wider struggle, one involving competing lineages, outside loyalties, and a battle over who would control the future direction of an entire planetary system. The Ceres and the priesthoods of Mu and saw what was coming. They warned that continued interference with Tara's energy grid would end in disaster. Appeals were made, warnings were sent, but the transmission is clear on one point. The momentum of rebellion had already taken hold. The Templars were no longer acting from balance. They were acting from ambition. And when a civilization becomes intoxicated by power, warning signs start to look like obstacles instead of safeguards. Not all Alanians followed the dissent. A dissenting faction realized that tampering with the planetary grid would lead to implosion. These dissidents allied with Mu and underwent genetic reintegration, becoming known as the Taranets. Their task was not only preservation, it was evacuation. As instability grew, they guarded portals, opened escape routes, and relocated certain populations off-world to sympathetic systems. Others were moved underground. Even then, the clock was running out. Then came the breaking point. Roughly 550 million years ago, the Templar Solar Initiates pushed Tara's core beyond its limits. Their manipulation of power generator crystals beneath Alania triggered a catastrophic chain reaction through the planetary energy grid. Entire regions were destroyed. The morphogenetic field, the hidden template said to organize matter, consciousness, and planetary stability, was torn apart. This was not portrayed as ordinary geological disaster. It was the shattering of the blueprint itself. The text describes a catastrophe so severe that Tara reportedly ceased rotating for 2 days. Pole reversals followed. Environmental chaos spread, surface civilization collapsed. Survivors fled underground, where hidden civilizations were said to continue long after the surface had been devastated. But even when partial stability returned, Tara was no longer whole. Sections of its planetary grid had been severed. A world that was meant to ascend became locked in a dimensional cycle it was never meant to remain in. And this is where the story makes its most unsettling claim. The so-called fall of man was not, in this framework, a moral fall at all. It was energetic. The collapse of Tara severed consciousness from its original multi-dimensional template.